Hanna stood by the observation window of Nova Station and watched the stars. She had been humanity's ambassador to the Galactic Council for 7 years now. In that time, she had learned to smile when aliens insulted her species. She had learned to bow when they demanded respect. She had learned patience. Nova Station was humanity's pride. It floated in neutral space, a symbol of peace between Earth and the 12 species of the Council. 12,000 humans lived here. Scientists studied alien technology. Families built new lives among the stars. Children ran through the corridors, laughing at the strange aliens who visited. Hanna loved this place. It proved that humans belonged in the galaxy. Today, she was attending a diplomatic meeting. The council representatives sat around a large table, discussing trade routes and border agreements. Hanna listened carefully but said little. Humans were still newcomers. They had joined the council only 40 years ago. In galactic terms, they were infants. The meeting ended without incident. Hanna gathered her documents and prepared to return to her quarters. But something felt wrong. The alien delegates were whispering to each other. They kept looking at her with strange expressions. Pity? Fear? She could not tell. Ambassador Kim, a voice called out. She turned. It was Mel Ra, a senator from the Velith Republic. Unlike most council members, Mel Ra had always been kind to humans. She treated them as equals. Should leave the station, Mel Ra said quietly. Her 4 eyes were wide with worry. Take a shuttle. Go now. Why? Hanna asked. What is happening? Mel Ra opened her mouth to speak, but another alien grabbed her arm and pulled her away. Hanna was left standing alone in the corridor, confused and afraid. She walked quickly toward the docking bay. Her instincts told her to run, but she forced herself to stay calm. She was an ambassador. She could not show fear. The docking bay was busy with activity. Shuttles were being prepared for departure. Hanna found her personal shuttle and climbed aboard. Her pilot, a young man named Cho Jae-won, was already at the controls. Ambassador, he said, I have received orders from Earth Command. We must leave immediately. What orders? What is going on? Before Jae-won could answer, the station shook violently. Alarms began to scream. Through the shuttle window, Hanna saw something that stopped her heart. Council warships. Dozens of them. They surrounded Nova Station like predators circling wounded prey.
Ow.
She whispered. This cannot be happening. A transmission crackled through every speaker on the station. The voice belonged to Valith Prime, High Chancellor of the Galactic Council. His tone was cold and official. Citizens of the Galactic Council, he announced, today we correct a grave mistake. 40 years ago, we allowed humans to join our civilization. We believed they could be controlled. We were wrong. Hanna's blood turned to ice. Humans breed like insects, Valith continued. Their technology advances too quickly. Their ambition knows no limits. If we do not act now, they will consume everything we have built. Therefore, by unanimous decision of the Inner Council, humanity is hereby declared a galactic contamination. This station is the first step in our cleansing. The warships opened fire. Hanna screamed as explosions tore through Nova Station. The shuttle rocked wildly. Jae-won fought with the controls, trying to escape the chaos. Through the window, Hanna watched in horror as sections of the station broke apart. She saw bodies floating in space. She saw fire consuming the corridors where children had played just hours ago. She shouted, "Get us out of here!" Jae-won pushed the engines to maximum. The shuttle shot forward, weaving between debris and weapons fire. A council fighter pursued them, its guns blazing. Jae-won performed a desperate maneuver, spinning the shuttle behind a chunk of wreckage. The fighter lost them for a moment, and Jae-won activated the jump drive. The stars stretched into lines. They were gone. Hanna sat in silence as the shuttle traveled through hyperspace. Her hands were shaking. Tears streamed down her face. She kept seeing the images in her mind. The explosions, the bodies. The children, 12,000 people, gone in minutes. Jae-won looked at her with hollow eyes. Ambassador, what do we do? Hanna did not answer immediately. She reached for the shuttle's recording system. During the attack, the shuttle's cameras had captured everything. The warships, the destruction. Velith's announcement, evidence. Proof of what the Council had done. She began to compose a message to Earth Command. Her voice was steady, but her words carried the weight of 12,000 souls. "This is Ambassador Kim Hanna," she said. "Nova Station has been destroyed by Council forces. 12,000 civilians are dead. Men, women, children. They gave no warning. They showed no mercy." She paused, fighting back a sob. "They killed our children. They filmed it. They laughed." She ended the transmission and sent it toward Earth. Then she sat back in her seat and closed her eyes. The Council believed this attack would break humanity. They expected humans to beg for forgiveness. They expected surrender. They did not understand humans at all. Far across the galaxy, Earth received Hannah's message. It spread across every screen, every speaker, every device. Billions of people watched the footage of Nova Station burning. They heard Velith's words. They saw the bodies of their brothers and sisters floating in the void. For one long moment, humanity was silent. Then the silence ended. In Seoul, a mother clutched her phone and wept for the daughter she had lost. In New York, an old soldier stared at the screen with cold fury in his eyes. In Beijing, children asked their parents why the aliens had killed their friends. And in a military bunker deep beneath the mountains, Admiral Kung Tae-ho watched the footage without expression. His face was stone. His eyes were ice. When the video ended, he turned to his officers. They waited for his command, their fists clenched with rage. "Contact every government on Earth," Tae-ho said quietly. "Tell them the age of nations is over. Tell them humanity speaks with one voice now." He looked back at the screen, at the frozen image of Nova Station in flames. "And tell them," he continued, "that we are going to war." 3 months passed after the massacre at Nova Station. The Galactic Council waited for humanity's response. They expected panic. They expected desperate messages begging for peace. They expected humans to realize their place in the universe. Instead, they received nothing. Earth went completely silent. No transmissions left the Sol system. No ships crossed its borders. The humans had simply vanished behind their own defenses, as quiet as the dead. High Chancellor Valith Prime sat in his chambers and smiled. He believed the silence meant surrender. The humans were too afraid to fight. They were hiding in their little corner of space, hoping the Council would forget about them. "They are broken," he told his advisors. "Soon they will come crawling to us, begging for mercy. When they do, we will finish what we started." His advisors nodded in agreement. None of them understood what was truly happening on Earth, inside the Sol system. Humanity was transforming. Admiral Kung Tae-ho stood before the leaders of every nation on Earth. Presidents, prime ministers, kings, and generals filled the massive chamber. They had come from every corner of the planet, united by grief and rage. "The age of nations is over," Tae-ho announced. "There is no more Korea, no more America, no more China or Russia or any other country. From this moment forward, there is only humanity. We are one people, one fleet, one purpose." No one argued. No one questioned. The massacre had burned away all division. The flags of old nations were lowered, and a new flag rose in their place. A simple design. A blue circle on a black field. Earth, surrounded by the darkness of space, humanity united in 3 months. It was the fastest political change in history. And it was only the beginning. In a secret facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, a woman named Yoon Sora led a team of scientists working day and night. Their project had no official name. The soldiers called it Project Extinction. Sora had been a peaceful researcher before the massacre. She studied alien biology, hoping to find cures for human diseases. Now she used that knowledge for a different purpose. She was creating weapons. Biological agents designed to target specific alien species. Poisons that could kill a Keth warrior, but leave a human untouched. viruses that could spread through an entire planet in days. Is this right? One of her assistants asked. We are creating tools of genocide. Sora looked at her with tired eyes. They murdered 12,000 of our people, children, babies. They did it because they feared what we might become. She returned to her work. I will show them that their fear was justified. In another part of Earth, Chief Strategist Li Hian was planning the war. He had studied every battle in human history. He knew every tactic, every strategy, every trick that humans had ever used against each other. Now, he would use them against the galaxy. His plan was called Operation Eternal Night. It was not a plan for victory. It was not a plan for conquest. It was a plan for complete and total annihilation. We will not negotiate, Hain explained to the military council. We will not accept surrender. Every species that supported the massacre will be erased from existence. Their worlds will burn. Their histories will be forgotten. Future generations will not even remember their names. Admiral Tejo studied the battle maps. How long will it take? Years, Hoon admitted. Perhaps decades. But we are patient. And we never forget. In the orbital shipyards above Earth, new warships were being built at impossible speed. Human engineers worked without rest. Factories ran around the clock. Resources from across the solar system flowed toward the construction sites. Among the new ships were 12 special vessels. They were smaller than the main warships, painted black as space itself. Stealth ships, invisible to all known sensors. They would be humanity's hidden daggers. Park Yuna stood on the bridge of one such ship. It was called the Silent Wrath. She would be its commander. Yuna had been a cargo pilot before the massacre. A simple life. A happy life. Her husband worked as an engineer on Nova Station. Her daughter was 7 years old, with bright eyes and a laugh that could light up any room. They were both dead now. Yuna had not smiled in 3 months. She had not cried either. All her tears had burned away, replaced by something cold and hard. She lived only for one purpose now: revenge. Commander Park, her first officer, said, "We have received our mission orders." Yuna took the datapad and read the contents. Her expression did not change. "The Keth Dominion," she said quietly. "They were the ones who fired first at Nova Station. Their commander laughed when our people died." "Yes, Commander." Yuna set down the datapad. "Good. We will visit them first." Far away in council space, Senator Melra grew more worried each day. She had warned Valeth about the humans. She had told him that the silence was not surrender, but he refused to listen. Melra had studied human history. She knew things that other council members had ignored. Humans were not like other species. When threatened, they did not run. They did not submit. They fought with a fury that defied all logic. She remembered an old human saying she had once read, "Beware the anger of a patient man." Humanity had been patient for 40 years. They had smiled and bowed and accepted insults. They had done everything the council demanded, and now the council had given them a reason to stop being patient. Melra requested a meeting with Valeth. She begged him to send diplomats to Earth. Perhaps there was still time to make peace. Perhaps the damage could be undone. Valeth laughed at her. "The humans are nothing," he said. "They are primitive creatures playing with borrowed technology. When they finally emerge from hiding, we will crush them like insects." Melra left the chamber with a heavy heart. She knew the truth. The council had made a terrible mistake, and when the humans finally revealed themselves, the galaxy would learn the true meaning of fear. On Earth, Admiral Kong Tejo stood before the assembled fleet. Thousands of warships hung in space around him, their weapons charged and ready. Millions of soldiers waited for his command. He opened a channel to every ship, every soldier, every human being, watching from the planet below. "They believe we are weak because we value peace," he said, his voice calm and cold. "They believe we are primitive because we are young. They murdered our children and called it cleansing." He paused, letting the words sink in. "They will learn the truth. We chose peace because we knew what we were capable of. We held back our fury because we feared what we might become. But they have taken that choice from us." His eyes hardened. "No mercy. No negotiation. No survivors. We will teach the galaxy why humanity should have been feared." The fleet began to move. Commander Turek of the Keith Dominion was sleeping when the attack began. The Keith were proud warriors. They stood 3 meters tall, covered in thick scales that could stop a bullet. For 10,000 years, they had dominated their region of space through strength and brutality. No species had ever dared to challenge them. Turek commanded the primary shipyard above the Keth homeworld. 200 warships were docked there, the largest fleet in the sector. He slept peacefully, knowing that no enemy could ever reach this place. Then the explosion started. Alarms screamed through the station. Turek jumped from his bed and ran to the command center. What he saw through the viewport made his blood freeze. Human ships. Dozens of them. They had appeared from nowhere, already inside the defense perimeter. They were not attacking the shipyard directly. Instead, they were targeting the docked warships, destroying them before they could launch. How? Turek roared. How did they get past our sensors? No one had an answer. The human fleet moved with terrifying precision. Each ship knew exactly where to strike. Communication relays exploded, cutting off calls for help. Fuel depots detonated, creating chains of fire that spread across the shipyard. Defense platforms were destroyed before they could aim their weapons. In 15 minutes, the Keith lost 140. Warships without firing a single shot. Leading the attack was a black ship that seemed to appear and disappear like a ghost. The Silent Wrath. Commander Park Eunice sat on its bridge, watching the destruction with cold satisfaction. "Target the command station," she ordered. Her weapons officer hesitated. "Commander, the station is heavily armored. Our guns might not—" "I did not ask for your opinion. Fire." The Silent Wrath unleashed its full arsenal. Missiles and energy beams tore into the station. Turek watched in horror as his command center crumbled around him. He barely escaped to a shuttle, fleeing into space as his life's work burned behind him. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it ended, the Keth shipyard was a field of debris. Their fleet was crippled, their pride was shattered, and the humans were just getting started. On the surface of the Keth homeworld, General Cho Daesung led the ground invasion. 20,000 human soldiers descended from the sky in drop pods. Landing in the heart of Keth territory, the Keth warriors rushed to meet them. They expected an easy victory. Humans were small and weak, barely half the size of a Keth warrior. Their bones were fragile. Their skin was soft. They did not understand what made humans dangerous. The first wave of Keth warriors charged at the human lines. Roaring battle cries that had terrified enemies for millennia. The humans did not run. They did not even flinch. They opened fire. Human weapons were not elegant. They were not sophisticated. They were brutal tools designed for one purpose: killing. Bullets tore through Keth's scales. Explosives shattered their formations. Soldiers worked in perfect coordination, covering each other, advancing step by step. A Keth warrior broke through the line and swung his blade at a human soldier. The soldier ducked under the blow, planted a grenade on the warrior's chest, and rolled away. The explosion killed 3 Keth standing nearby. General Cho watched the battle from a command vehicle. His face showed no emotion. "They are larger than us," he said to his officers. "They are stronger. But they have never fought an enemy who was not afraid of them. Fear is their greatest weapon, and it does not work on us anymore." The Keth fought bravely. They fought desperately. But hour by hour, they were pushed back. Human soldiers advanced through their cities, their fortresses, their sacred temples. Nothing could stop them. Commander Turek finally managed to send a transmission to the Galactic Council. His voice was shaking with terror. "They are not negotiating," he reported. "They are not conquering. They are exterminating. Send help. Send everything you have. The humans, they are monsters." High Chancellor Valeth received the message in his throne room. For the first time, doubt crept into his mind. He had expected the humans to be easily crushed. He had not expected this. "Mobilize the full council fleet," he ordered. "We will destroy them ourselves." But it was already too late for the Keth on Earth. Yun Sora received word that the ground forces had secured the major cities. The time had come for the final phase. Project Extinction was ready. The weapon was simple in concept. A virus engineered to target Keth's DNA specifically. It would spread through air, water, and physical contact. It was invisible. It was unstoppable. And it was absolutely lethal. Sora hesitated for just a moment before giving the order. She thought about what she was doing. She was about to kill billions of living beings. An entire species would be wiped from existence. Then she remembered the footage from Nova Station. The children screaming. The Keth commander laughing as he gave the order to fire. "Deploy the weapon," she said. The virus was released across the Keth homeworld. Within hours, the first symptoms appeared. Within days, the death toll reached millions. The Keth had no defense against it. Their doctors could not even identify what was killing them. Human soldiers withdrew from the planet, leaving the Keth to die alone. Commander Torek was among the last survivors. He watched his people fall around him, choking on their own blood. He tried to send one final message to the council. But his strength failed him. In 3 weeks, the Keth Dominion ceased to exist. Admiral Kang Taho ordered a single transmission sent to the Galactic Council. It contained no words. Just footage of the Keth homeworld, now silent and empty. Cities stood intact but lifeless. Ships floated in orbit with dead crews at the controls. Then Taho's voice spoke over the footage. 1 down, 11 to go. Transmission ended. In council space, panic spread like wildfire. The Keth had been one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. They had been erased in less than a month. Not conquered. Not defeated, erased. Valeth tried to maintain control. He gave speeches about council, unity, and strength. He promised that the humans would be punished. But behind closed doors, his hands were shaking. Senator Mel Ra confronted him after one such speech. "I warned you," she said. "I told you the humans were different. You did not listen." "They are still just one species," Valeth replied, but his voice lacked conviction. The combined might of the council, the Keth thought the same thing, and now they are gone. Melra stepped closer, her eyes burning with anger and fear. "You woke something terrible, Valeth. Something that should have been left sleeping. And now we will all pay the price." Far away, on the bridge of the Silent Wrath, Commander Park Yuna received a message from Admiral Taho. Their next target had been selected. She read the name and felt something cold stir in her chest. Not satisfaction. Not joy. Just purpose. "Set course for the next system," she ordered her crew. "We have work to do." The ship vanished into hyperspace, carrying death to another world. 1 year had passed since the massacre at Nova Station. In that time, the galaxy had learned a new emotion. Terror. 4 council species had fallen. The Keth were gone. The Vorath were gone. The Selkari were gone. The Dren were gone. Their worlds still existed, but they were empty tombs now. Cities without citizens. Ships without crews. Monuments to humanity's vengeance. The remaining 8 species huddled together in fear. Their fleets gathered around their homeworlds. Their leaders begged Valeth for protection. But protection required ships. And ships were disappearing faster than they could be built. Human attacks came without warning. One day, a supply convoy would vanish. The next day, a military outpost would go silent. The humans struck from shadows, killed without mercy, and disappeared before anyone could respond. Lee. High-end strategies were working perfectly. The chief strategist stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. Red markers showed council territory. Blue markers showed human victories. The blue was spreading like a disease. "The Morthok Republic has requested surrender terms," one of his aides reported. Hain did not look up from the map. "Denied. Sir, they are offering unconditional submission." Their entire species, the Morthok, voted in favor of the massacre. Their ambassador celebrated when Nova Station burned. Hyun finally turned to face his aide. There are no terms. There is no surrender. They made their choice 1 year ago. Now they will live with the consequences. The aide fell silent. He had learned not to argue. Admiral Kong Tae-ho led the main fleet through council space, crushing all resistance. His tactics were brutal, but effective. He never attacked a planet directly if he could destroy its support systems first. Cut off food supplies. Destroy power generators. Collapse communication networks. Let fear and hunger do the work before a single soldier landed. Ambassador Kim Hannah traveled with the fleet. Her role had changed. She was no longer a diplomat seeking peace. Now she delivered humanity's final message to those who begged for mercy. A transmission arrived from the Pelleran Collective. Their leader appeared on screen, his face twisted with desperation. "Please," he begged. "We will do anything. We will pay any price. Just spare our children." Hannah stared at him with empty eyes. She remembered saying similar words on Nova Station. She remembered the council's response. "You showed no mercy to our children," she said quietly. 12,000 innocents burned, while your people watched and cheered. You ask us to spare your young ones. Did you spare ours? The Pelleran leader began to weep. "We were wrong. We know that now. Please," Hannah ended the transmission. She turned to Admiral Tae-ho. "Proceed with the attack," she said. The Pelleran Collective fell in 3 weeks. Across the galaxy, Senator Maelro watched her civilization crumble. She had opposed the massacre from the beginning. She had argued against it in the council chambers. She had warned Valeth that it would end in disaster. No one had listened. Now she made a desperate decision. She would go to Earth herself. She would speak to the human leaders directly. Perhaps if she could show them that not all aliens had supported the massacre. Some species could be saved. Her ship crossed into human territory alone, broadcasting signals of peace. She expected to be destroyed immediately. Instead, human warships surrounded her and escorted her to a space station. Chief Strategist Lee Hyun agreed to meet her. Malara was brought to a small room with a single table and 2 chairs. Hyun sat across from her, his face unreadable. "I know why you are here," he said. "You want to negotiate." "I want to beg," Melra admitted. "My people did not support the massacre. I voted against it. Many of us tried to stop it. Please, do not punish the innocent for the crimes of the guilty." Hyun was silent for a long moment. Then he pressed a button on the table. A holographic display appeared between them. It showed footage from Nova Station. The explosions. The bodies. The children dying in the void. "Do you see this girl?" Hyun pointed to a small figure floating among the debris. Her name was Yoon Myung. She was 6 years old. She wanted to be a doctor when she grew up. Her mother works for us now. She is the one who developed the weapons that killed the Keth. Rella looked away, unable to watch. "This boy was called Park Taemin," Hyun continued. "He was 7. His mother is Commander Park Yuna. She has destroyed more council ships than any other officer in our fleet." The footage kept playing. Name after name. Face after face. 12,000 stories, each one ending in fire and silence. "Where was your mercy?" Hyun asked softly. "Where was your vote when our children were burning? You say you opposed the massacre? You say you tried to stop it, but you failed. And 12,000 people died because you failed." Melra had no answer. Tears streamed down her alien face. Hyun turned off the display. "I will not execute you. Your people did less harm than others, and you personally tried to prevent the tragedy. But I cannot promise you peace. That decision belongs to Admiral Tae-ho." Melra was returned to her ship and sent back to council space. She carried no treaty, no promise of mercy, only a warning. "It cannot be stopped," she told Valeth when she arrived. "They will not negotiate. They are not fighting for territory or resources or power. They are fighting because we hurt them. And they will not stop until everyone who supported the massacre is dead." Vila's face turned pale. For the first time, he truly understood the scale of his mistake. Then we must destroy them first, he said. We will gather every ship, every weapon. We will attack Earth itself. If we destroy their homeworld, the survivors will have nothing left to fight for. Melra shook her head. You will lose. We have no choice. The Council assembled the largest fleet in galactic history. 2,000 warships from 8 species. Planet-cracking bombs. Star-killing weapons. Enough firepower to shatter a solar system? They jumped towards Sol, carrying Extinction in their hulls. When they emerged from hyperspace, Earth hung before them. Blue and green and beautiful. The birthplace of the species that had brought the galaxy to its knees. Valeth smiled. Finally, this nightmare would end. Then his sensors screamed warnings. Behind the Council fleet, space itself seemed to tear open. Human ships appeared from nowhere. Hundreds of them. They had been waiting, hidden in the darkness between stars. The Council fleet was surrounded. Admiral Kong Teho's voice echoed through every Council ship. You came to destroy our home, he said calmly. You brought your greatest fleet and your deadliest weapons. You thought you could end this war with one strike? On the bridge of the Silent Wrath, Commander Park Yuna prepared her weapons. On Earth, Yunsora watched the enemy fleet with cold satisfaction in the command center. Li Haiyan smiled for the first time in a year. You were wrong, Admiral, Teho continued. You have walked into a trap, and now you will never leave. The Battle of Sol began. The Battle of Sol lasted for hours. It was the largest space engagement in galactic history. It was also the most one-sided. The Council fleet had come to destroy Earth. They had brought 2,000 warships. They had brought weapons capable of cracking planets and killing stars. They believed their combined might was unstoppable. They were wrong. Human ships attacked from every direction at once. They moved in perfect coordination, each vessel knowing exactly where to strike. The Council fleet tried to maintain formation, but human tactics were chaos itself. Small fighters darted between massive warships, targeting engines and weapon systems. Bombers unleashed payloads that tore through shields like paper. And then Yoon. Sora deployed her newest creation, gravity bombs. Weapons that created artificial singularities, tiny black holes that existed for only seconds. But seconds were enough. Council ships crumpled like toys, crushed by forces they could not understand or resist. Admiral Kong Teho led the counterattack from his flagship, the Eternal Fury. He cut through enemy lines without hesitation, his ship leaving a trail of destruction behind it. Officers on the bridge shouted damage reports and tactical updates, but Teho remained calm. He had planned for this moment. He had waited for this moment. High Chancellor Valeth watched from his command vessel as his fleet died around him. 2,000 ships became 1,500, then 1,000, then 500. Each explosion represented thousands of lives lost. Each defeat brought the Council closer to extinction. We must retreat, one of his admirals urged. We must save what remains. Valeth looked at the tactical display. Human ships were everywhere. Retreat was impossible. There was nowhere to run. Order all ships to target Earth directly, he commanded. If we are going to die, we will take their planet with us. The surviving Council ships turned toward the blue planet, charging their weapons for one final strike. Valeth smiled grimly. At least he would have his revenge. Then the Silent Wrath appeared. Commander Park Yuna had been waiting for this moment. She had spent a year killing Council soldiers and destroying Council ships, but none of it had been enough. The man who had ordered the massacre still lived. The man who had murdered her husband and daughter still breathed. That ended now. The Silent Wrath slipped through the battle unseen, its stealth systems hiding it from all sensors. Yuna guided her ship directly toward Valith's command vessel. Her crew worked in silence. They all knew what she intended to do. Target the bridge, Yuna ordered. Commander, their shields are still active. We cannot. I did not ask for possibilities. I asked for results. Find a way. Her weapons officer studied the enemy ship. After a moment, he found what he was looking for. A small gap in the shield coverage created by battle damage, It would only be open for seconds. Firing solution ready, he reported. Yuna's finger hovered over the trigger. She thought about her husband's smile. She thought about her daughter's laugh. She thought about the day she had watched them die, helpless and screaming. Fire, missiles streaked from the silent wrath and found their target. Explosions ripped through Velith's ship, tearing open the bridge. Air and debris exploded into space. Bodies followed, but Yuna was not satisfied. She brought her ship closer, close enough to see through the shattered viewport. And there, floating in the wreckage, still alive in his emergency suit, was Valith Prime. Yuna opened a channel. "Can you hear me?" she asked. Velith's voice came through, weak and broken. Who are you?" "My name is Park Yuna. My husband's name was Park Junho. My daughter's name was Park Sumin. They lived on Nova Station." She paused, letting the words sink in. "You killed them." Valith said nothing. Yuna pulled up a list on her console. 12,000 names. 12,000 souls who had died because of this creature's orders. "I am going to read you some names," she said. "You will listen." She began to read, name after name. For nearly an hour, she spoke without stopping. The battle continued around them, but Yuna did not care. This moment was hers. When she finished the last name, she looked at Valith through the viewport. "Now you may die," she said. She fired one final shot. Valith Prime, High Chancellor of the Galactic Council, the architect of the Nova Station massacre, ceased to exist. Without their leader, the Council fleet collapsed. Ships surrendered or tried to flee. Human forces hunted them without mercy. By the time the battle ended, only 80 Council vessels remained. They were captured, their crews taken prisoner. The Battle of Seoul was over. Humanity had won, but the war was not finished. Over the following months, human fleets spread across Council space. The remaining species fell one by one. Some resisted and were destroyed. Some surrendered and were destroyed anyway. The only mercy shown was to those who had opposed the massacre from the beginning. Senator Melra's people were spared. They were forced to leave their homeworld and settle on a new planet under human supervision, but they were allowed to live. Melra herself was summoned to Earth to witness the final victory. She stood in a great hall, surrounded by human leaders. Admiral Taeho was there, Chief Strategist Lee Hyun, Commander Park Yuna, Ambassador Kim Hana, Scientist Yoon Sora, General Cho De-sung. The architects of the Council's destruction? "The war is over," Admiral Taeho announced. "The Galactic Council no longer exists. The species that supported the massacre have been eliminated. The galaxy belongs to humanity now." Melra listened in silence. She had no words. Taeho continued. "We did not want this war. We came to the Council in peace. We offered friendship and cooperation. We asked only to be treated as equals." His voice grew cold. "You answered with blood. You murdered our children and called it cleansing. You forced us to become monsters." He turned to face the galaxy, as if speaking to all the beings who watched this moment across the stars. "Let this be a lesson to whoever comes after. Humanity remembers. We remember every kindness and every cruelty. We remember every hand extended in friendship and every blade aimed at our backs. Cross us, and we will forgive. Hurt our children, and we will never stop until you are erased from existence." The ceremony ended. Melra was escorted back to her ship. As she left, Ambassador Kim Hana stopped her. "I used to believe in peace," Hana said quietly. "I used to believe that different species could live together without fear. Nova Station was supposed to prove that, and now?" Melra asked. Hana's eyes were tired. "Now I know the truth. Peace is not given. It is earned. And the price of peace is the willingness to wage war." She looked away. "I hope you never have to learn that lesson yourself." Melra left Earth and never returned. A century passed. The galaxy had changed beyond recognition. Humanity ruled over 100 systems, guiding the survivors of the old Council species toward a new era of cooperation. Wars still happened, but they were small and quickly ended. No one dared to challenge humanity's dominance. On every human world a memorial stood, 12,000 names carved in stone. 12,000 souls who had died so that humanity might live. Children visited these memorials on school trips. They learned about Nova Station. They learned about the massacre. They learned what their ancestors had done to avenge the fallen. Some children asked their parents why humanity had been so cruel. Why had they destroyed entire species? Why had they shown no mercy? The parents always gave the same answer. They killed our children, they said. They gave us no choice. And beneath the names carved into every memorial was a single warning. 2 words that reminded the galaxy why humanity should never be provoked again. Never again, Commander. Park Yuna died peacefully at the age of 93. She was buried beside her husband and daughter, reunited at last. Her gravestone carried no rank or title, just 3 names in a single sentence. Park Junho, Park Sumin, Park Yuna. Together forever. The stars continued to shine. The galaxy continued to turn, and humanity continued to watch over it all, patient and powerful, remembering the day the Council shed human blood, the day they sealed their own extinction.